Minister, I'm reading that you've made this announcement that now BCRCMP Air Services helicopters will specifically be deployed to the entire lower mainland region. How is this different from how these helicopters have been patrolling the airspace um, until before this announcement? Because the ask was for a dedicated helicopter for the Surrey region. So, what's changing with your announcement?
So we want to ensure that the police, the local police, and the task force has the use of all necessary resources for these investigations into extortion crimes. And so they, and there is a helicopter that has been used throughout the investigations. And we're just ensuring that the available resources are being used truly as much as possible. And so I know that the helicopter has been flying over Surrey in recent nights and will continue to be used to support the work of police.
So, how many helicopters are dedicated to the lower mainland region? I believe it's two helicopters here, right?
There are two helicopters, exactly.
And the province has a total of 10 for the entire province?
I believe so.
Okay. So it's still going to be one of those two helicopters that's going to be patrolling the airspace across the Metro Vancouver region, correct?
So, well, between 1 and 2, but I think it's important for listeners, to note that we are deploying all the tools that are available, including the helicopters, and, that they will be hearing those, and they should have perhaps already heard the helicopters flying over Surrey in recent nights, and that's really to support the work of police who are investigating, these crimes around the clock.
Mhm. What else is the province doing to support in these investigations? Uh, because we spoke, I think, earlier this week only about the police having the ability to press charges, and you said that that work between the prosecution service and the police services is going seamlessly. But do you think, with the ask by the city of Surrey that this should be designated as an emergency, that the province should maybe appoint a special prosecutor to specifically look into the cases when somebody is rounded up for extortion crimes?
So there is a team of dedicated prosecutors, dedicated to extortion, working with police. And the two arrests and charges announced by Surrey Police Services yesterday really speaks to the quick and expert work of police and prosecution services. So this related to an incident that happened early Monday morning, and we saw arrests and charges yesterday, and so that really speaks to how well they are working together, and I just need to thank, police and Crown for their diligent work on bringing these arrests and the charges forward.
Hmm. What sort of discussions are you having with the federal government, and what have you heard from the federal public safety minister, your counterpart at the federal level, Minister Nanda Sangri?
So I met with Minister Sangri, the Federal Minister of Public Safety, yesterday, and he was joined by senior federal RCMP officers and also Canada Border Service Agency leadership. And we had a chance to discuss the extortion crisis affecting communities in BC, but we know across Canada. And I reiterated the need and the continued need for coordinated national, provincial, and municipal enforcement resources to tackle these crimes. We specifically also discussed some concerns we have around the immigration system, and I made three, I think, important points. Firstly, we want to speed up the process so that individuals who have committed crimes who are not here legally can be removed as quickly as possible. Secondly, we want to make sure that people cannot use the refugee system to avoid being removed if they have committed crime. And the third point is that we are asking a CBSA to name people removed. We don't want people to be able to hide behind anonymity, and that is certainly something we've feedback we've heard from community. And so, really, we continue to cooperate with the federal government to ensure that our resources are being deployed so that we can end these crimes. And certainly, We also spoke about the need for more federal RCMP officers and made that point as well.
What's the reasoning that you hear from the CBSA for not naming those who've been removed from the country? Because this is quite perplexing. What reason do they give you?
Yeah, it does relate to privacy considerations and that CBSA has for their work that is different from criminal investigations. And so it's it relates to longstanding policies and procedures of the CBSA. But we certainly passed on the message that it would be helpful to communities to know the names of people that have been removed. And so we certainly pass that message on.
Minister, what's your take on City of Surrey asking the federal government to invoke a state of emergency over the extortion crisis at a federal level? What do you think it's warranted, or do you think it would be impactful?
Yeah, I think Mayor Locke has been a really strong advocate for the people of Surrey, and I continue to work closely with Surrey and other communities as we confront this extortion crisis. And I do support the mayor's efforts to raise and get as much attention for this crisis as possible. And because these crimes are national and transnational in nature, and they affect several provinces, we do believe that this is a crisis that is worthy of additional federal resources. And so I met with Minister Sangre yesterday, and in fact, the premier is in Ottawa today, meeting with both him and the premier. And BC is in regular contact with our federal counterparts to reinforce the message that we need to coordinate, that we need all to throw all resources that will be that will bring these extortion crimes to an end in our communities.
And about those resources, are there any talks about better cyber surveillance techniques? Because calls are originating from a number from another country, while the triggers are being pulled locally, of course. But what about the cyber surveillance aspect of this?
Yes, that is something we in fact raised yesterday with senior federal RCMP leadership, and we've noted the importance of seamless intelligence sharing with all levels of investigators, including the federal one who look at the international dimensions of this as well. So I think it's so important for all levels of government, for all law enforcement agencies to work together and to keep coordinating so that we can bring these crimes to an end and ensure that our communities are safe.
Hmm. Minister, thank you so much for your time, and you have a good day.
Thank you. You too.